We have a line of compliant wheels. These are compliant because they're squishy. And then they go up this ramp. And then once they're up here, they're smaller macadam wheels, but they're vectored wheels. These actually automatically push the balls outward, which is really cool. So it leaves space for all three, and it prevents jamming. Once they're in there, they will all be lined up with these kickers, and each of them have a color sensor in them. It will sense what color the ball is, and then when it gets the information from the April tag, it will figure out what order to do them in. So if it was purple, green, purple, it would shoot purple and green and purple. For our launcher, we use a flywheel design with a hood. This is the launcher. It's at a 45-degree angle, which is what we tested, and it works really well. And for the flywheel itself, we have two motors hooked up, no gear ratios or anything, to a big flywheel which spins very fast and shoots the ball. These are counterweights. This is so whenever we shoot a ball, it will slow down in velocity. So what these do is helps it stay at what velocity it is. So we don't have to wait for it to rev up again before we shoot another one.
Okay, so we have preset buttons for intake and the flippers. So whenever we want to launch, we press the button for the launcher, it spins up, so it's just a toggle. And then we hit one of the flipper buttons to push the ball up into the launcher, and then it shoots. We also have a preset in the telly out so that we press it and it flips all three of them.
And that's called your rapid fire.
Yeah.
Correct? When you press your intake button, what motors move? What's it?
So it intakes this motor, obviously, or these wheels, and then it also moves these ones, and then these go opposite direction so it doesn't accidentally suck in. And then whenever we press the buttons for the flippers, it also moves all of these motors, except this one goes the opposite way.
That is something that is really unique about our robot, because the fact that when you are intaking them, you have those top wheels rolling backwards to prevent them from accidentally going into the shooter, that's unique. And then when you press the flipper button to kick it out, it's also unique that you also have that intake running. Then tell us how your drive works.
Right stick forward, goes forward. Right stick back, goes back. Left to right, straight. Other joystick, turn.
Okay, so that is how you control it, right? What happens though, you have global positioning on the field, correct?
Oh yeah.
What does that mean?
Whenever you go to each different side of the let's say blue, for example, if we stand on one of these, I have to turn the robot facing forward the other way, then I have to click this button, and it positions the robot to, I don't know.
Resets the odometry.
Yeah.
So that it knows which way is north, and no matter how you turn it, pushing forward on the joystick always goes.
Yeah.
As the camera reads the April tag, and you get a number, so in the code you don't just put PPG this code, you put a specific number and then add that. And with the color sensor, there's certain hues to set balls and artifacts, so they're completely different from one another, which makes it easier to pick out the code and pick out.
They're on separate sides of the color spectrum. So we can just say that green is under 200 and then purple is over 200.
How'd you determine the 200 mark? Is that the middle of the hue?
Well, we
range?
put our color sensor up to one of the balls and say, well, green is always under 200 and purple is always over 200.
Okay.
It sees the April tag on the obelisk and it determines the pattern, and then it sends that pattern into another function we have called shoot 3. So every time we want to shoot our balls, it gets the color pattern from the April tag and shoots them in the other ones. And it prioritizes the middle so that if we were to shoot from the side, we don't want the middle to strafe over to the other side and mess up the thing. On top of that, we have encoders on our launch motors, so it's more consistent and not as battery dependent. So we set the target velocity based on the distance need, and we use the color sensors to figure out the colors for the balls. Yeah.